Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on unlocking growth with business intelligence in the manufacturing distribution space. Before we begin, I just want to make everyone aware that we do have a couple of upcoming BAS events. We have our BAS Connect events coming up in Toronto and Vancouver. These are great opportunities for you to meet firsthand a number of the BAS employees, the Sage employees, as well as a lot of our partners like Zap. So if you want to meet people in person, get some first-hand experience, please invite you to check out Bass Connect. And today's agenda, we'll do a brief introductions, we'll go through our key discussion topics, and then we'll have time for product demo and Q&A. So today I'm thrilled to be joined by Rohit Konar from Zap today. He brings a deep experience in the data and analytics business, and we're really looking forward to his glad to have you here.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you for the
And just to
opportunity.
kind of jump right into things, just tell us a little bit about yourself, about Zap, and the mission that you guys are on.
Brilliant. Thanks, Steve. Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to listen in. So my name is Rohit. I'm the Global Sales Director for Zap. I've been with the company for almost 7 years now, and I've been part of ERP and BI for about 13, 14 years now. So yeah, Zap is a ERP data warehouse specialist. We are white labeled in the Sage world, so we are called Sage Data and Analytics. And what it really means is for the Sage 300 customer, is we connect to Sage 300, we transform that data, we transform it into a data model, and then you use it to view the data and build analysis on the reporting tool of your choice. So whether it's Power BI, Excel, or our own tool, which is Zap BI, which is what I'll be demonstrating. But you have three choices where you use your transform data to report from.
Great explanation there, where Zap kind of fits in. And now, if we just talk maybe some of the fundamentals of how BI can improve forecasting and inventory controls.
Yeah, sure. So essentially, when it comes to BI, it's basically data-driven decision making. So when we talk about inventory, it's like stock analysis, how much stock I have, how much stock I have on hand, how much stock is aged, how much stock is slow moving, and then analyzing what I should stock based on the demand I'm getting. So one element is what is the situation today, and the other is can I do something to predict what I need for tomorrow. So that's how you would do, demand planning.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have an example of a customer you've worked with that kind of really kind of illustrates and brings that point to life?
Yeah, absolutely. One of our biggest customers in Sage 300, actually, AML Foods, it uses Zap or SDNA for their business. So they're a grocery chain in the Bahamas, and they also hold the license or the franchise for Domino's in that region, and they actually are a listed company. So in their case, it's actually quite interesting. They were data driven already. They could build the KPIs, but it was all Excel driven. So every month they needed 7 days to put everything together and then make decisions on that for the business. Once Zap was connected and they started using it, 6 months later, those 7 days were gone. Suddenly they had everything in minutes in front of them, and they got 7 days of time back. And that's 7 days of analysis time for a CIO, for a CEO, for a BI person within the team. And what the impact of something like that was, they actually managed to save $5 million in working capital in their inventory because they have perishable goods. It's food, it's grocery. So they used to actually overstock and have a lot of wastage if they couldn't if the demand wasn't there. And we managed to control that for them. So that was a huge win for us. And obviously, 7 days back in every month is just extraordinary for a business like that.
That's fantastic. I know I could definitely use 7 more working days in my life, for sure.
Yeah,
So,
sure. Yeah.
I just read that. So, in what ways does BI enhance that decision making? I'm just to dig a little more maybe into the different pricing and cost management aspects of things.
Sure, sure. I mean, the first element of it is, describing to you what is the right data and defining that for you. And again, for each business that is different, but primarily it would be planned cost versus actual cost. So firstly, defining that. Secondly, being able to show that in a format you understand. So what is your plan versus what is your actual? And then trialing different things. If I tried a different way to produce that, if I tried a different supplier, if I change the lead times, what would be the impact of that? So cost management through the whole process of planned versus actual, basically, whether it's
Yeah.
during in a manufacturing environment.
Okay. And typically, how long does it take a business before they start to see an impact on the margins and the cost efficiencies after they've implemented a solution like ZAP?
I think it's pretty immediate because solutions like us are plug and play. So we have already built the backend for you of our Sage 300. So the engine is ready, so to speak. And all you need to do is connect, deploy, validate information, and you're ready to go. So within the first week, you can start analyzing your data around manufacturing, around stock, around sales, around finance. And then it's about tweaking your business process to understand what is the impact of it. Because suddenly you've gone from how do I even get to an analysis to now I can analyze what should I analyze. So it's that huge jump, that huge mindset shift is really the key. And once that happens, suddenly, I mean, without you realizing, you become data driven. Everything you want to do now is about what is the outcome of that decision, and can I see it on a graph, chart, row and column report, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and that dovetails great into the next kind of topics we talk about, those data-driven insights. I came across a Deloitte study not long ago that found that manufacturers using predictive analytics for their demand forecasting achieve a 10 to 20% reduction in forecasting errors and a 15% improvement in on-time deliveries. So now, beyond demand forecasting, what are the other areas of strategic planning that predictive analytics, and Zapier can help?
Yeah, sure. I mean, predictive analytics is like the next stage of analysis, and that's where, and we'll talk a little bit about, but AI and all of that great stuff is going to start to appear. But at a very fundamental level, what a BI tool helps is getting your data right or the data quality right, because suddenly the whole process is outcome driven towards a graph, a chart, a report that comes out from that. But apart from pure manufacturing, I mean, stock analysis, um, if I ran a sales campaign in a particular region, what is the impact of that sales campaign on the demand for that region? I mean, the kind of length and breadth of something like this is it goes really beyond it. It actually is what do you want it to do to an extent, and those possibilities suddenly become um, easy and real because you now don't have to spend time putting or transforming your data because it's just too hard. I mean, it's a classic case of AML Foods. Today, what they are analyzing is way beyond what they were doing, say, a year back, because they just did not have the time. Like you said, if you had 7 more days, imagine what you could do. You know,
Yeah. Oh,
it's exactly that. Yeah.
absolutely. So I'm curious. I mean, what are some of those KPIs now that you're being able to help clients track now that they have, good clean data, and most importantly, maybe the time to actually start to look at these things.
Yeah, so a lot of analysis goes into historical as well and trends. So sales, as an example, what was my sales last month, last quarter, last year's quarter, and how do I compare now? Um, if it comes to stock analysis, aging becomes really important. If it's perishable goods, again, aging. If I go into pharmaceutical and food businesses, then traceability. If I have produced something and I have sold it to a customer, how can I trace it back to the supplier and the raw material that went into that? Because there is audit trails are required because of the nature of the business we are in. So stock, sales, purchasing, vendor analysis, how are we getting on time? Suppliers are giving us the raw material or product on time. Then we get a lot of OTIF type analysis, so on time in full, especially for distribution and manufacturing businesses. Am I completing the order on time? And am I completing the order in full? And you'd be surprised that not all businesses are 100% of on time as well as in full. There's always a gap, and as you find these efficiencies, you either saving money or making money basically. So it impacts the top line and the bottom line. Hope that gives you some
Absolutely.
examples.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So if we kind of shift gears a little bit now, once when you're implementing new systems, you're changing processes, that's often a challenge for most organizations. So what should organizations consider when they're implementing a new BI solution?
Yeah, I think people primarily don't like change, so that's the real key here. So there is an organizational resistance. So you get two types of people. You'll get skeptics who do not believe a BI tool can tell them the truth, and the ones who are like data driven, and it's like, well, the purpose of the BI tool is not tell me the truth. The purpose of the BI tool is for me to tell it what is right, and it to continuously tell me am I going in the right direction or not. That's the purpose of the BI tool. So you'll have those skeptics. So changing them and getting them on board on what the possibilities of a data-driven company is, and their department and their function in what they do. That's really key to turn them around. Data quality really key. If you have bad data, no BI tool can save you. So rubbish in and you will get rubbish out. So that's really key. So focus on your data, on what you're inputting in your ERP systems, really key, and following that. And lastly, buy-in from top down, to the employees, to the people who will be involved in the project, is really key. And um, the outcomes are clearly defined for both parties, both at the executive level as well as the functional level. And if all of that is done, yeah, the implementations will go very smoothly. But do bear in mind, these are not ERP implementations. These are not months, day, and years. I hope not years, but months at least. We work in hours, so you could be live in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, with us. It's all about trusting your data, which takes time. But with respect to the technology, you could be ready literally in a week with us. So
Wow.
so the time scales are really smaller. Um,
Yeah, I think that's probably key to for a lot of people to keep in mind is that time scale is very different then. So um, maybe switching gears a little bit before we get into the product side of things here. What's the future that you're seeing with business intelligence tools and kind of the impact that AI is having on this space?
Okay. No, I'm glad you mentioned AI because I think people are sick of that word. But the truth is, this is coming. The wave is coming. The reality is coming, and it'll continuously proceed in that direction. So I want to talk a little bit about AI, and I want to talk about it in two kind of senses, really. So the first thing is, how would AI change the world of VI? And from my perspective, it'll go from descriptive type analysis to predictive and prescriptive. So let me try and define that. So what really today what happens is you look at historical information. What was my position last minute, last hour, last week, last day, last month, and so on and so forth. So it's like retrospective analysis that you're doing to make a decision about your future. Whereas with AI, what will happen is you will look at those trends, you could look at your current situation, and it'll give you a prediction that this is what I predict is going to happen. So that's going to be the difference between with AI coming in, predicting the future. The biggest piece about AI and BI is about prediction, predicting the future. So that's predictive analytics, and prescriptive is about then telling you that this is the future, plus I think this is the direction you should go into, i.e. recommending recommendations based on the prediction it is making. So that's the secondary level of it. I mean, I can talk about bias in AI and all of that, and I think a lot of people who have started to play around with it. I mean, I started as a skeptic. I'm an optimist now, but I'm still, I think, optimist realist kind of thing, where I still feel AI is can easily be biased, and you just don't know what is the truth. So that the prescriptive analysis beyond prediction is something still there's a lot of work to go on to that, but that's the prescriptive type of thing. The other is how do you interact with AI, and that is to do with we call it NLP or natural language interfaces in effect, but basically interaction is through voice and through text. So a human interaction with AI, who is your assistant, to tell you about these things. So as an example, we've got this AI bot now on our tool called Zappy. And today it sits on our knowledge base, and I can say, hey, Zappy, tell me how to build a sales report. And it'll go away and tell me, this is how you build a chart and a graph. These are the knowledge base articles. Go read them. The future state for us there is, okay, Zappy, go build it using these measures. And then it goes, builds it. And then you tell it, all right, I don't want to like this chart. I want to change it to this color. So that interaction with an AI assistant who is doing that for you, whether it's building a chart or a graph or doing the data modeling with you for you, is where I see that going. So the interaction, the natural language interface, is the other thing that for me is the future trend. And I mean, we've already started to do that with chat gpt and Claude and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's where I see that coming hugely. But yeah, AI is coming. Embrace it as soon as possible. In a year's time, it'll be completely different to where we are today.
Yeah,
That would be my future
that's
trend.
great. Yeah, it is, and I think, like I say, a lot of that future is coming a lot faster than people would be expecting. I think, we'd be amiss if we didn't touch on kind of the other hot topic now, which is kind of the global trade and the tariffs and the different trade policies that are here, there, and I think they affect pretty much everyone now, regardless of what corner of the globe you're in. So, is there anything that the BI tools can do to kind of help people navigate, the tariff they might face today versus the one that tomorrow might be completely different?
Oh, Steve, this is so hard. I wish Mr. Trump knew what he wanted to do the next day. So I doubt AI can predict what he wants to do. But no, joking aside, I think, look, you can still with your data check on margin analysis. You can still with your data check on what is going to be the cost on your logistics or your supply chain process based on what tariffs may or may not come through, because he keeps changing his mind. That doesn't help. But when we talk in terms of BI, I would say what if analysis is something a lot of people do. What if my cost increased by this much? What if my margin reduced by this much? What would be impact on the top line and the bottom line? So I would, yes, 100% BI can help, but I'm hoping he doesn't change his mind every single day, because that is really hard. But yeah, definitely it can help. Yeah.
It is, yeah, and I would imagine, yeah, there you could spend your probably 7 days doing different what if scenarios. So,
Oh, for sure.
that's great. It's very super insightful. So, I think now, we've talked about BI. I think now, people are probably eager to kind of see firsthand things. So, walk us through a little bit about the BI tools. So,
All right, very conscious of time, so I'm going to stick to just one element of it. But basically, and we talked about the diagram earlier, but essentially, it's a data warehouse. We are data warehouse specialists where we connect the data from Sage 300. We create a data model. This is all pre-built. We give you a cube, and then you're able to report from that cube on one of the three analytics tools that we support. So it's Zap BI or SDNA, Power BI or Excel, or you can do a combination of that. So I'm going to talk about Zap BI itself, and I'm going to talk about some of the pre-built content we provide. So if we were to connect to your Sage system and we deploy it and process the data model, the modules will appear. So you'll get finance, sales, purchasing, and inventory. As an example, I'm going to walk through the finance module. These are all pre-built reports that I'm going to show you. So for every module, we've got a dashboard at the top level. In this case, this is a CFO dashboard. So I've got P&L on the left, cash in the center, balance sheet on the right. You've got slices at the top. So this could be single company, multi-company. So if you have multiple companies and multiple databases, it's not a problem for us. We can do financial consolidation as well. If you have intercompany accounts, we can remove that, do the eliminations, and do the financial consolidation. And that is a setup, and very quickly it can happen for you. Okay. We manage dates very well. Being a data warehouse, we create hierarchies of dates. So in this case, I've got month and day, but I can easily do year, quarter, month, week, day. And what that really means is I can do time period analysis really well. So prior month, prior year, prior quarter, those analysis versus the current situation is very easy for us. And I'll show you a couple of examples there. Then we have performance cards. So this is quickly telling you, sales, margin, operating profit. If I, hover my mouse over working capital, there's a tooltip. It can be a description. It can be a calculation. It can be what it means to the business. And you can define that as well. But looking at this again, P&L on the left, if I hover my mouse, it's a tooltip. So three pieces of information: sales, cost of sales, and gross margin. If I double click, it goes from the month to the day because that's the hierarchy I'm using. And it's only going to show me the days where there is data. I can then right click and connect other dashboards to it. So I can go from one page to another as well. In this case, I'm going to go into an income statement. As a starting point in finance, we always build the TB first. In fact, the TB actually starts to, once connected, it will pre-build the TB based on your chart of accounts that you have on Sage 300. If you create a new account and a new grouping, it will automatically reflect that on our reports as well. So I've got a tummy TB, but again, I'm comparing, doing this month to date, year to date comparison with some dashboards on the side. Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to move over to the kind of ARAP side of things. So in the cash sense, I've got ARAP here. If I right click, I've got an AR dashboard. So I can connect a dashboard to a dial as well. And then it goes into another dashboard where it tells me a little bit more about the AR situation or your receivables. So there's aging, there's top 10 overdue and current and so on and so forth. There is about collection effectiveness as well. Not all businesses use that, but we can help there as well. But then from that dashboard, I can go into a row and column report, which is the aging report. Now I have buckets. I've got 30-day buckets here. And the final element is, if I see a cell, I can double click and I can go to the transaction that makes up that cell. So basically meaning I can go from one dashboard to another dashboard to a report and to a transaction that makes up a cell on that report. So it's the whole story what you want to say, and genuinely BI is about storytelling, how you want to tell that story, how you want to interrogate that story. So it's all about answering the questions you may have. um, I'm going to go in another direction here. So let me look at sales. I've got a couple of dashboards. So in this case, I've got a VP sales dashboard. Same slices continue. So I've got company, calendar, customer group. But this is where now my time period analysis is coming. I've got this month versus last month, this month, this quarter versus last quarter, this year versus last year. And this is where suddenly you start to get the health of the business in comparison to what happened, historically with the business. Concepts follow: 5 regions, 5 product classes, top 5 customers. I've got dials where I've got quarter to date, last quarter, last year's quarter, and then the target as well, dummy data. So I always hit my target in here, fortunately at least. And then you have these bubble charts. And what I like about these bubble charts is if I hover my mouse, it's not just the 3 pieces of information that is there. So your invoice amount, margin, and quantity, but the position of the bubble and the size of the bubble as well. So if I hover my mouse on the right hand side and it's like, I'm getting 51% margin on this product. Can I sell more? Can I do something in this market to increase my sales? Or if I hover here, and this is probably classic dummy data where I'm making negative margin. But hey, sometimes you do end up in markets where you're either not selling or have to shift the product because it's sitting on your stock, on your in your warehouse, and it's perishable. So instead of going to waste, you want to recoup some money. But say it is that situation. What can I do that this doesn't occur the next time? Maybe I've gone into a new market. Maybe it's a new product I tried and it didn't work, and so on and so forth. So those are the examples that I would like to give. One last thing I want to show, and then we can open up to questions. Steve, very conscious we're up to time right now, but I'd actually open the tabs. But essentially, the fundamental reason I can do all of this is this outcome of this data model, which is a cube. And the same cube is available on Power BI. The same cube comes as a pivot table on Zap BI. It's a combination of measures and dimensions. Measures is a value. So if I open up an example, and this cube is ready for Sage 300 to start to use immediately. So if I take an example, I've got invoice amount, I've got cost of sales, I've got gross margin, and then I want to group this information. That's where a dimension comes in. I want to group by customer. I want to group by product. I want to group by region. And let me see if I have any hierarchy here. So I've grouped it by customer groups, and this is my customer group. That's my customer group. And then I can go and say, okay, build me a chart. I'm doing this very simply, but there are complex details that can happen here. But the point I'm trying to make is this is all possible as a business user. I'm a salesperson. I have no clue about the tables, structures, backend, anything about Sage 300. But if I get a cube, yeah, I can do my analysis with you. And if it could be on Excel, on Power BI, on Zapier. I want to stop there, Steve. Very conscious of time, but I hope the session was useful, and yeah, open to any questions.
That's great. Yeah. So some interesting neat little features there. I like that the hovering over the bubble chart there. That's very cool. Yeah. So if there are any questions, please feel free to use the chat option in the go to control panel there. So yeah. So Roy, we did get one question that came in, which was, how does ZapBI handle the security and compliance with privacy regulations? So I don't know if you could talk to us
Um,
a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So we encrypt the data. So anything we pull, we encrypt the data. We only pull. So we are a read-only tool. We pull data from Sage 300, and we only use data that you see on the report. So we don't pull every single thing that you have on Sage 300. So you have control over what data you bring in. You have control over the data type you bring in, and you have control over how much data you bring in. And on the other side, if I go into the financial element, say I've got a P&L there and I've got salaries for people included in certain section of my expenses. I have row level security, so I can control who sees what information. Steve could see your salaries and I couldn't, so I can control it from a user role access perspective, but row level security is available. So encryption of data, row level security, and control over what data you bring in and how much of it. That's how we do security management here.
Perfect. Okay, there's a couple other questions. One which should be quick, which is says here, we have BI, but does this mean we need to install Zap to have these features? I would say if that's your scenario, reach out to your VAS account manager to make sure that the BI tool that you actually have is indeed Zap. I know in the Sage ecosystem there's a lot of other BI tools with the names sometimes do get very confusing. So I confirm first of all that you are using Zap, and then we can definitely make sure that the tool is fully enabled for you. The other question that came in here is what's the cost, Rod? I mean, can you ballpark us kind of what the
Yeah.
cost of the Zap tool would be?
Yeah, sure. So our cost, we're a tiered products, so SaaS, cloud, all of that enabled and everything, and data resides in Canada. Cost starts at 4.5 grand Canadian dollars per annum, which gives you a bunch of licenses, the full solution. So we don't charge you on the Sage 300 solution or any data connections you want to bring in. We charge on the consumption. So we charge on how much data you bring in. So it starts with 5 gigs. You can add to it as well, but depending on the functionality you need, then we have other tiers. So 4,500, 5,000 to 15,000. That's the tiers, and depending on what functionality you need, you go there. So if you're a simple business that needs to do an analysis from a cube, probably on the lower end of that scale. If you're a business that does data modeling and requires access to custom tables and structures that you have on Sage 300, and you're a heavy data modeler, you understand data warehouse and you get into the detail of it, or you want to bring data from Sage 300 plus your CRM or e-commerce or other data source. We don't consider Excel as a data source because a lot of people bring Excel, and even at the lower end, that's fine. If you're doing those kind of things, then yes, you need to be on the higher end. But yeah, depending on your requirements, we can quote. But yeah, 5 grand to 15 grand roughly. And implementation somewhere between 5 to 10 grand, depending on your requirements. But there's a lot of pre-built content here for you to start.
That's perfect. Yeah. So that kind of answered the other question about what the implementation cost would be. So that's great. Yeah. And then I'd say definitely, reach out to your BAS account manager. They can help kind of scope out and make sure that you're getting exactly what you need. And obviously then, we'll likely schedule another call and kind of fully delve into the Zap product, I'm sure, and see a much more detailed kind of demonstration as to what the product can do. So just to be cognizant of time, I would say we're at the top of the hour. So thank you everyone for joining today. Thank you, Rohit. Great discussion.
Thank you for the
Great
opportunity.
product.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome. Apologies again
Can't
for a
believe
little
you asked me
technical.
what Trump will do tomorrow, but hey ho, I heard you
Yeah.
told me.
If you could figure that out, then yeah, please do let us all know. Um, again, everyone, I'd say, please, take a look at Bass Connect. If you're in the Vancouver, Toronto area, it is a great place to come and be able to connect with the folks at ZapBI, see your other solutions, learn more about how you could extend your Sage solution. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at marketing@bass.com. And with that, we will see you all again soon. So thanks so much, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Bye for
Thanks,
now.
Steve. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Cheers.